Hey everybody, welcome to Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. I am Eric. I have a bourbon for review today. We're going to check out Knob Creek 12-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. As always here on the channel, I'm going to give you a nose, taste, finish review of this bourbon, tell you a little bit about the value, give you my final thoughts and the final score, and then I will leave you with a malt musing. But first, let's talk Knob Creek. So Knob Creek, one of the four small batch premium bourbon brands that comes out of the Jim Beam distillery in Claremont, Kentucky. And so this was released in the later end of 2019. And the story behind this is that back in 2015, there was a massive bourbon shortage in Kentucky, and the age statement off the original Knob Creek, their entry level to their core range whiskey, which was normally 9 years, the age statement was removed. A few years later, we are back with full supplies, and now we have ourselves a new release from them, which is a 12-year-old bourbon. So bottled at least it is bottled at 50% ABV. We know since it's a bourbon, there's no color added. No mention on here about chill filtration. It does say the original Knob Creek small batch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, crafted for superior taste and smoothness, Claremont, Kentucky. And not much other info on here, so we can assume there's probably been some chill filtration to this. Here's what the bottle looks like. Kind of a dark blue label, classic Knob Creek looking bottle. Dark black wax on top. Here we go. All right, let's get this in the glass. All right. So this is the color we are looking at. Nice dark reddish hue to this. Definitely looks like a nice aged bourbon. All right, let's get into it. Right away on the nose, spice, oaky. Getting a bit of that caramel, vanilla, a little bit of that peanut note, which is something you pick up quite a bit in Jim Beam whiskeys. Getting a little bit of that on the nose here. It smells rich. A little bit of apple, the apple cinnamon, brown sugar. Smells really nice. I was thinking there's maybe a little bit of a leather note in this too. Okay. So all in all, pretty straightforward nose on this bourbon. Got some complexity to it. Seems pretty well balanced. Right away on the arrival, you are getting sweet apple, sugar, brown sugar, a little bit of vanilla, caramel, and then this really, really kicks into gear. Spiciness, oaky spice. So a bit of a kind of drying tannic oak spice, but also butterscotch, vanilla, a little bit of citrus. Maybe even honey. As it continues to go, this is, I want to say it's a medium body. It is not super oily. It's actually surprisingly a little lighter than I expected for a 12-year-old. Finish, oak spice, a bit of that, maybe almost like a ashiness, not like charcoal, but yeah, just a little bit of like an ashy note. There's that peanut again. Caramel, medium long finish. And right at the end, and there's that apple, maybe even orange. Pretty much, you know, this is a pretty good ride. There's a lot happening in this bourbon. I'm gonna give this another taste, but I'm gonna put a little water on it first. 50% ABV, Put about a teaspoon of water on this, see what happens. Okay, so with the addition of water, wow, really getting like those wood notes now even more. It's almost like walking into a wood shop or a carpentry room or something like that, like wood shavings, fresh. There's that caramel again in the background. Not so much brown sugar anymore. It's more of a light powdered sugar almost. Apple. Candy. Like sweet candy apple almost. All right. You guys taste it now with water. Okay. So with the addition of water, it tames the heat down a bit. That spicy note I mentioned earlier leveled off a little bit. Now it's like vanilla pudding. So it's kind of chewy. Also, caramel. Apple again. Maybe almost like a toffee note too. So this whiskey by and large is standard bourbon notes working really well together. With the addition of water, everything kind of evens out. A lot of like sweetness, confectionery notes coming in on this, in addition to that kind of tough wood spice, a bit of that cinnamon. So yeah, vanilla pudding, caramel, bit of apple, little bit of a tobacco note too, maybe. It's like a smoky, maybe that's that ash note I was getting earlier. Maybe it's more tobacco than ash. Finish with water in that medium range. Satisfying whiskey. One more taste. Yeah. As a fan of Knob Creek whiskeys, I mean, this is just another good one. There's no complaints here. Until we get to cost. So, bottle of this Knob Creek 12-year-old is going to run you $55 to $65 for a bourbon. Little bit pricey, but you are getting a 12-year age statement. You are getting it at 50%, so it is not bottled at the bare minimum of 40%. As far as value goes, I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna say it's not necessarily a value buy, and I'm gonna tell you why right now in my final thoughts. So, this is an interesting whiskey. When I first saw it on the shelf, I said to myself, like, why would I buy this? And the reason for that is relatively simple. For the past, 5-6 years, Knob Creek has been releasing a single barrel reserve, which has been standard bottling is 9 years at 60% ABV. That's a whiskey I find is bolder in flavor, has a longer finish. I think it gives you more than you want out of this. This is more of an everyday sipper. Now, why would I make these two comparisons? So there's a caveat. The caveat is most liquor stores you can find in your area, I guarantee one of them is going to have a Knob Creek barrel pick selection. And what you often find with the barrel pick selections is that they are aged beyond that 9 years of the single barrel. So you're looking, you can find 12-year, 13-year, even 15-year Knob Creek single barrel store pick releases for the like $50, 50, sometimes $55. You might have to do a little hunting, but I think that they're worth it. They're a little bit cheaper than this. You're getting a higher ABV, and you're getting in some cases higher age statement. So does this measure up to the Knob Creek single barrel reserve release at 9 years? I think it's like about even. This is more of an everyday relaxed sipper. That one more bold, a bit more intense. Something that you're going to have to find your equilibrium with water. But when you find the single barrel reserve store picks, when you're in that 13 years, 14, 15 years that you can find in that $50 range, I think they're just a much better value than this. So, you know, with a little bit of hunting, I think you can find a better expression of Knob Creek than this one, and at a cheaper price. So where does that leave us with the final score on this? This is not a bad bourbon in any stretch. It will only come off as disappointing if you have had some of the store pick versions of the Knob Creek's single barrel. This one might be a little bit of a letdown for you on that. But for someone on an everyday sipper, good whiskey, but a little bit pricey. I mean, I would even argue that the regular Knob Creek or their recently released Quarter Oak, which are a little bit cheaper than this, you know, I don't think you're getting a ton more for your money here. So my final review and my final score, rather, of the Knob Creek 12-year-old, I'm going to give it a respectable 3 out of 5, which is that I recommend trying it or grabbing one if you find it at a good price. And I mean a good price, $50 or less. And again, if your choice comes down to this or a single barrel pick from a local shop in your area, I would take the single barrel pick at any day over this one. So 3 out of 5, that is my score for the Knob Creek 12 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And with that, I'm going to send you off to your malt musing and enjoy the rest of this dram here. And we will catch you next time here on Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. Cheers, y'all.